Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for another episode of our event with Deeplumen as our host, bringing on some of the industry's top people, and we have certainly achieved that today. Today we have the amazing Gerhard Gschwandtner, and Gerhard really needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway, just because Gerhard and I go back a little bit now, and we're good friends. But if anybody knows Gerhard, they know that he's responsible in large part for shaping the world of sales as we know it today, and he's played a huge role in that. And I feel privileged to be able to work with him on a regular basis. So it only made sense to invite him here and introduce him to our audience and have a great discussion. As the founder and CEO of Selling Power, the industry's leading sales management publication since 1981. Let that sit there for a bit. Gerhard has spent over 4 decades studying, teaching, and elevating the art and science of selling. He has trained more than 10,000 sales professionals globally. He's authored 16 books and interviewed some of the most influential business minds of our time, from Michael Dell to Mark Benioff. Gerhard is also the driving force behind Sales Point O Conference, where today's top revenue leaders gather to redefine how sales organizations win in a rapidly changing AI-driven world. Known for his powerful insights on mindset, performance, and innovation, Gerhard doesn't just teach sales, he transforms how leaders think about growth, leadership, and the future of revenue. Welcome, Gerhard.
I want to do a pause.
Thank you for reading the introduction.
Well,
I even spotted a typo on your computer. It's Sales 3.0 Conference, not Sales 0.0 Conference.
Oh, geez, I apologize for that. And with us today in conjunction is, of course, Joy Wu. And Joy Wu is the co-founder of Deeplumen. And these events have been put on by Joy and Deeplumen to really start to introduce Deeplumen and the philosophies and the concepts and the solutions that they offer with respect to AEO and AI search. And we'll be talking more and more about that. But today, with Gerhard being our guest, we really wanted to talk about the definition and the concept around his upcoming event, which is when, Gerhard?
It is April 8th and 9th. It's coming up very soon, and we still have a few spots left. We're shooting for 600 director-level sales leaders from about 50 different countries attending.
Amazing. So we'll put more details up later as we get closer to the end, so that people can register for the event. And today, based upon that, we're going to talk about the new blueprint for revenue transformation, which is in large part what the event, I believe, is about. Is that right, Gerhard?
Absolutely, yeah. We are living in a world that is going through fundamental transformations. And what is interesting, before we started that streamcast, we had a conversation with Joy, who tunes in from Shanghai, but she has described how she lived in New York. And it reminded me how we become one world where every culture is contributing to the transformation of their culture and the foreign culture. So there's a cultural melting pot in New York, and the reason New York is so dynamic is because they have integrated the best of all cultures from around the world. And And this is something that you want to keep in mind when you think about your company and the transformation that's going on in the marketplace. If your company is not able to transform to world-class standards, you are going to lose market share to your competitor who has accelerated that transformation momentum that has started with AI.
Thank you so much, Gerhard, for this kind word. And yes, hi everyone. My name is Joy Wu from Deeplumen. I think a lot of us know, like a lot of audience know what we're doing already. We're trying to bring traffic, AI traffic for brands, and completely agree with Gerhard that I think the word is coming to not from a political level, but then from a technology point of view. If we really wanted to bring the business forward, I think the East and the West all bring some value onto the table. Where obviously on the West culture, you guys are bringing the most advanced innovation onto the table. OpenAI happens in the States, and Meta, Google are all doing all these AI transformation internally. Google is coming up with Gemini, which is leading in some of the AI competition, while Meta is spending so much money to build their AI capability. So obviously, US and the West Coast or the West sides are really doing quite a bit in terms of innovation. While in China, we're doing a lot of not quite innovation together in an application point of view. We're doing a lot of like a large language model, but then bringing the most cost efficient large language model onto the table. Surprisingly, large language model API most used by the globally, it's actually not US large language model anymore. You guys are well known for Anthropic cloud are being amazing, but at the same time very expensive. But at the same time, in China, we're bringing a lot of like Minimax, are bringing like a very cheap, affordable, but also like solid enough API onto the table as well. So I completely agree with you. This whole AI transformation, it needs to be combined together so that it's faster and that it's benefiting the society even quicker than if one country is doing it itself.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for that, Joy. And I think what we want to do is we want to bring those two views and concepts together and talk about how today about how AI is changing the sales ecosystems and how it's changing behaviors and how it's creating automation along with human connection and how it's also accelerating revenue by implementing AI where it's impactful by way of enablement. And that's really what the event is about, Gerhard, is to really bring all those elements, because there's more than one element. There's all sorts of different AI tools out there. That's not the problem. In fact, if anything, there's too many AI tools out there. The challenge is to bring them together in a way that enables your sales team to use them to create both productivity, but more importantly, revenue. And that's what this is all about. So yes, we can use AI to save time and have our agents spend their time and our salespeople spend their time where they're the most impactful and productive. But we also need to be able to make sure that everything that we're doing from a sales and marketing perspective, which I would argue is now the same, right, is actually connecting with our customers. And the fact is that up until very recently, it has not been, because traditional sales and marketing methodologies have lost a lot of their luster and are no longer as impactful as they used to be. And so leveraging AEO, AI search, and AI tools can help to bring all of those elements back to life, reconnect us with our buyers and our customers, and the customer journey they're already on. Just because we're not there doesn't mean they aren't. So the world has changed. We're now trying to connect with them, not the other way around. Customers can get information everywhere. That's not a problem. The problem is, are you where they are searching? And that's really what we want to talk about. And Gerhard, if I could just get into a little bit of how you would define, that was kind of my definition, and I can go on and wave my arms around forever, but I want to hear Gerhard's definition of sales transformation in today's world?
Well, I've seen sales transformation from a different perspective, and I've looked at how the sales profession has changed because of technology. So for the past, I would say 3 decades now, we have been promised transformation for 30 years. When Salesforce came out with online CRM, we had a CRM before with packaged floppy disks that were sent out with ACT and Goldbind. And Mark Benioff transformed that whole business by having a SaaS business where you pay a subscription, not a yearly fee. And so we've been promised a transformation to have a 360-degree view of the customer, but all the research shows that B2B sales reps still miss quota. It shows that we have a paradox. We have more technology tools than ever, and we harvest less productivity in the process. It's almost like a hunter with 12 guns expecting to shoot more deer. It's not possible because more tools are not going to improve the output. And I want to share 3 parts of that transformation that I'm seeing right now. I want to explain what transformation means today versus decades ago. I want to talk about the paradox of technology versus productivity. And I want to talk about the transformation that needs to take place in people's minds before they can orchestrate people, process, and technology in an optimized way, enhanced by AI, so that your salespeople are going to have the right conversations with the right customers that are focused on the customer's challenges. And those challenges will surface in conversations that are guided by AI. So AI is actually the conversation starter, if you will, that gives you the signal so you can have the right conversation. And we need to prepare salespeople to achieve that. So when I think what transformation means from a technology perspective, it's not a technology event. It is, think of it more as a behavior change, as a mindset change. So most companies buy tools, and very few salespeople actually use those tools. So real transformation happens when your reps sell differently because they think differently. Does that make sense? So I always like to say that success is the result of the right mindset, the right skill set, and the right tool set. And the mindset is all about, how do I see my role? What is my role as a salesperson? So you can define yourself as the broker of ideas between the problem owner and the solution provider. The problem owner is the customer. The solution provider is the company. So that you can put yourself in a position of like an ambassador who speaks the language of the home country and the host country. And they facilitate that exchange of information that's needed for the buyer to make the right decision. So the salesperson needs to speak the customer's language and needs to speak their company's language. And I think that translation can be automated, but the human element is the most critical part. The mindset is one part. And one of the biggest challenges for salespeople is the why. Why are they doing what they're doing? What motivates them? What moves them to success? And if salespeople are other-centered, meaning that they want the best for the customer, then they're going to be a lot more successful than when they're self-centered, when they want more money for themselves. So that mindset shift leads to star performance. The second part is the skill set. Salespeople need to have the skills to use AI intelligently. And we are probably the last generation on this earth that manage people directly. Now we are in an age where we need to manage AI. We need to have the right agents. We need to have the right tools to work with that extends our capability to think and to shape content. And the tool set, of course, like Lumen, is accelerating both the mindset and the skill set. And AI search is rewriting buyer behavior right now in front of our eyes. And we need to be part of that transformation. So your buyers, all the listeners out there, your buyers are right now engaging in online conversations about their problems without you being there. And if you're not there, you're going to miss that conversation. So AI search is going to be probably the conversation accelerator and the commerce accelerator that has never existed before. And we need to shift our mindset and take advantage of that opportunity to transform the way we sell. So ask yourself, are my salespeople today working smarter, not harder? Are they faster in getting into the conversation and have that seat at the table? Are your salespeople ready? And I want to give you one quick example. IBM has decided that in order to transform, they have to become their own most demanding customer before selling AI transformation to others. And the company divided the entire operation into close to 500 distinct workflows. They build over 3,000 digital workers. They're trained every single employee from HR to supply chain in AI tools. And the result, they gained $3.5 billion in productivity. So IBM did not buy transformation, they built it. One workflow, one behavior, one employee at a time. And that's what Thomas was talking about. We need to orchestrate. So the second part that I promised to talk about is the paradox of technology versus productivity. Gartner Group does a lot of surveys in B2B effectiveness, and they found that 72% of workers, they feel overwhelmed by the number of skills required for their job. And 50% are overwhelmed by the technology that they're expected to use. Now, when it comes to sales specific, sellers that are overwhelmed, they have only 45% chances of reaching their goals. They're not going to attain quota. So you think about the transformation from a cognitive overload perspective, where people in your company run around like chickens without a head, without thinking, and trying to learn technology, learn how to adapt. So companies that get AI and get the tools, that don't get the training, they are going to lose the game. This is absolutely critical. The average sales rep today has 10, 15, 20 tools. And the selling time has decreased. Why? Because tool expansion creates that cognitive overload. It creates that, it doesn't create clarity. And AI promises to solve that, but only if leaders stop adding and start, as Thomas says, integrating. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
totally.
So I want to talk about that third very quickly, that third leg of the stool, which is training and coaching. Underprepared people do not win. They need practice. They need AI coaching. Then instead of having training events, one and done, that's an illusion because you have the Ebbinghaus curve that 90% of the content that people are learning is forgotten within less than 30 days. And so we need to rethink the way we prepare salespeople. You know, there's someone who did research, and I cannot give you the quote, but companies need to think about what can AI replace, and what are the limits of learning. And what I have found over the last 4 decades, something really curious, which is at every transformation, we need to make a decision what skill and what mindset we want to let go of, and what skill and what mindset to adopt. So it's almost like a handoff from generation to generation where the ball gets dropped. So when I think back in the 70s and 80s, when Zig Ziglar talked about you can get in life anything you want, providing you help enough other people get what they want. He was talking about logic and emotion in sales, that logic makes people think and emotions make people act. So when AI gives salespeople an enormous capacity to augment their insights and intellect, and they present more information than ever before in a better way. If they forget the emotional part, they're going to lose the sale. They're not going to make it. So what has been lost from generation to generation is really the human element in sales, that salespeople learn more facts, they polish their logic, but they're underutilized the capacity to relate to the customer from different cultures and the different positions in the company. So here's one example. Microsoft addressed their problem. They had 70,000 customer-facing people and partner solution executives. They decided that coaching could be woven into the everyday experience. So instead of having a one-time event, they actually use sort of a sprinkle methodology where the learning events are sprinkled into the day. Their workshops became micro workshops, and AI reinforced coaching at scales. And the amazing result was 34% of their employees showed an improvement in their core career behaviors. And I remember when I trained 10,000 salespeople in the US and in Europe. And I found that when you embed that coaching and training into their mindset, where they get to see their own performance on a screen, that is such a powerful effect, because people are almost embarrassed or ashamed how poorly they communicate, how few questions they ask, how they think they're so much better in diagnosing customers' needs while they're miscommunicating. So I've seen about 35%, 37% lift in sales after people completed that training. So what I'm saying is that we need a new blueprint to prepare our teams for that transformation. And transformation is not a project with a launch date. It is a culture shift. It is designed to augment human capability. And I think that Mark Benioff said it best when he said something about we need to have a beginner's mind as we stand at the threshold of that incredible opportunity that's in front of us. Because if we focus on what we know and carry forward what we know without letting go what's holding us back, we're not going to earn the future.
Very well said. What's that old saying? Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yes. Yeah.
That's ultimately what it comes down to. You can have strategy.
That is Peter Drucker's quote, and it's really interesting that we have Joy there, because I know that most Americans do not understand how far advanced China is in sales and marketing, and the innovative capacity of China is, in my opinion, actually stronger than some of the innovations that come out of Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
That's very kind of you, Gerhard, and thank you for, like, China is definitely leading in certain verticals in terms of application, I think, or we have some good ideas. Let's put it that way. We come up with Alibaba, we come up with like WeChat, we come up with like all these like DeepSeek, where we do have some good applications. But I think the foundation, not to be honest, not to be too modest, but I think a lot of great technology definitely comes from Silicon Valley. But then Chinese people really know how to turn it around and make it into application which can be used by most population. And also completely agree with you, Gerhard, about the whole transformation in terms of not just sales professionals, but also for the whole organization. Like you mentioned, AI transformation, it's a behavioral change. It starts from the original users. Users are not using Google anymore. They're using Gemini. They're using cloud. Because why? Because it gets you better answers, right? It's not giving you like hundreds of blue links where you need to actually click onto it. So that's definitely changing. So traffic is changing. Secondly, I think like Deeplumen, we're a startup, and luckily we were just founded last year, and then we're very AI native in terms of how we build our organization and how our staffs. It's a very small team, 15 people. And we try not to grow over 30 people, because we believe that the right organization, it's going to be like the business we're owning. We might have a couple products, but then it's all along with like firmed business lines. And that's where you don't really need 200, 300, 2,000 employees anymore if you use AI properly. For example, for our coders, each coder, like easily, they have 2 mini Mac on their table, where the mini Mac is running cloud code. It's running open cloud to do all these tasks. So essentially, the way we structure our team for the coder, for example, it's not like we have 5 coders. And then if we want to build bigger products, we grow from 5 coders to like 10 coders, 15 coders. It's not like that. We actually have, say, 5 coders, and then each coder will need to have the capability to use AI smartly, so that each coder later on will have 2, 3, 5 agents helping them to do their work together. So it's like one coder is training couple, like machines as our machine employees in our organization. And one other crazy thing in our organization is really, for example, our designers. We have only one designer for the entire team because he has 5 agents. And then what is the agent structure? He has one agent to manage 4 agents. So with a team of 1 people, it actually has 3 layers. No kidding, 3 layers. So it's working very well. That's frankly speaking. So that's, and also for strategy point of view, our CEO and also the co-founder team, when we do a lot of, like, say, financial say strategy, what our product should be, fundamental researchers of competitor products, our even financials, we're using AI. We're not hiring, say for our financial projections, we're using cloud code, even though it's pretty pricey, but then it's cheaper than employees, and then it does the best amazing projections we can ever like. For startups, you're not getting top notch accountant to do projections for you, even though you're paying decent amount, like a fair market price. You're not getting the top notch employee. But then using cloud code, I think we're getting the top notch accountant, for example, strategist, as our digital employee. So that's literally how we structured our entire organization, so that it's more AI. It's an AI first. It's very efficient, and then it's very standardized as well. Because again, it's who's our employee, digital employee? It's cloud code. It's Gemini. So they are all following certain rules. And the best part is that the more you train and talk to I'm using Gemini heavily because it's great, but then also it's very relatively affordable compared to cloud code. So the more I talk to it, it actually understands me so much better. So so it gets my strategy, it gets our business idea. So it's really almost like I have a free, like a semi-free assistant, business assistant, who will whenever I have electricity, I have a laptop, and then I pay on monthly like basis. I can forever have that employee. That's kind of like the safety net I'm getting here. So yeah, for sales transformation and also for organization transformation, it's definitely happening. And whoever is IBM is like the idea, the example you just mentioned, Gerhard. IBM, it's a perfect example. Any large organization, if they want to bring transformation to their client, start with your own organization first to solve that big problem, to see how to incorporate AI transformation or AI employee or AI agent into your current workflow, and then bring it and monetize it to your client, and that's more persuasive. Yeah, so completely agree. We're in a very interesting era where not only, I think it's even bigger than SaaS, because when SaaS come up, it's actually just breaking the software industry and then turn the software industry upside down. But now with AI, I think it's not just turning one industry upside down, it's turning organizations upside down. So it comes with a lot of work, and even for us, I'm anxious. Like when open cloud just come out, I am anxious about how do I implement it, how does my organization implement it. But then it's also come with opportunity where whoever can do it properly and smarter with the organization, you might be leading the curve. Literally, I have a really respected entrepreneur friend. So he started his business 10 years ago, who does the ADAS. So essentially, it's like autonomous driving software. Very, very successful. They are actually in the line to be listed in NASDAQ. And then I'm not sure if it's NYSE or NASDAQ. So I really respect that entrepreneur friend of mine. Berkeley graduate, started his business and then sold part of his software in Li Auto. So Li Auto's first car uses their autonomous driving software a couple years ago. Literally, he's texting me today because we're meeting up over the weekend. He's like, can you please tell me how to implement open cloud in your business? And can you please tell me how to implement cloud code in the engineer team? And my business is only like what, couple months old, but then I'm getting requests from 10-year-old company's owner on that request. So I think we're all back to ground zero in terms of like a AI competition.
So well said, and such an example.
I think there's one example that deserves being mentioned. There were two Chinese entrepreneurs that created Manus.ai. And after working, developing the company solution, they were, after 10 months, they had a meeting with Meta, and Mark Zuckerberg paid $1.2 billion for their company.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting, Gerhard, you mentioned that, because in China, 3 years ago, a lot of AI apps, Gen AI apps are coming up. And at that point, we do have a good product, but then we don't have, like in China, like the whole AI entrepreneur crowd. They have, some of them have great product, but a lot of them, most of them doesn't know how to go to market, to the US market. So that where comes one of a community called LinkCloud, which we're working very closely with. So 3 years ago, they launched the first SEO event, and Manus team are the first batch joining them. So they're actually bringing Manus CEO to the States 3 years ago to learn all about how to go to market in the US market. And it's a very small community, and maybe up to like a 1,000 person in China now, and who's in like an AI community. But then, yeah, Manus is one of the kind of like a member in that community, and then it's very definitely inspiring about like how they actually saw their business within a couple of months after they launch. And again, I think that's where great opportunity comes up with for not just for entrepreneur, but any team with great product. I think there is AI bubble, but then without bubble, you're not getting the real innovation to implement it. And luckily, Meta or Google, they are having enough cash and capital to ingest it and to support the growth of these AI innovation. And that's where giving a lot of opportunity for, I think, IBMs like Salesforce, all these giant. Number one, they're doing a lot of AI innovation internally, and also they need to embrace, or they need to come out with amazing AI products, where they definitely are developing internally. But then that's also giving startups a lot of opportunity, where if you have great products, you can be acquired within the next 12 or 24 months, and that's where I think that's a lot of opportunity out there.
I'd like to bring this all back if I could, because this is a great discussion, but we've kind of wandered off a little bit, and that's okay, because it's really been interesting. But I want to bring it back to sales transformation, right? And to the event at hand, Gerhard, that you and the organization Selling Power are putting on, because there's a missing element that we touched on, but we're not spending enough time on it. So yes, we've got AI and all the incredible things it does and the power that it brings. And yes, we have large organizations who are struggling to learn how to utilize that in a way that's effective. So they're out there and they're buying this and they're buying that and they're buying the other thing, and they're trying to create agents, and they're using these tools and those tools, and they're bringing them all to bear, and they do that, and they build it into their budgets. Sometimes they blow their budgets, and the result is negligible. And the reason for that is the missing element. And the missing element you touched on, Gerhard, and I think it's so critical. And we can call it integration, we can call it all sorts of things, but at the end of the day, if we don't start training our people daily on the tools that we're giving them, and they're not using it daily and starting to build it into their behavior and their work process, then it won't work. It's that simple. So yes, you're always going to have a few people like us. We're excited. We love to learn. We love to bring it in. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And when it does, we use even more of it. But not everybody's like that, right? And they push these new things off. So we need to, as organizations, like IBM did, and many other organizations are starting to do, we need to focus and bring that into the daily work pattern. And it's not an option. It's something that has to be used, because if you don't use it, you're just not going to be valuable, right? And anybody who thinks they can avoid using AI because they don't like it, they don't want change, they don't understand it, that's detrimental to their own careers. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and be somebody who's valuable, productive, in fact, critically important to your organization, get ahead of this curve. And as Joy was just so well putting forward, it doesn't really take that much because nobody else is there yet, really. It's changing so fast. If you just keep up with it and use it on a daily basis, you can be light years ahead of most of the people in your organization with very little effort. But it does take that effort, and not only from the individuals, but from the organizations. And that missing ingredient, that catalyst to the system, is the daily practice and regiment of building this into our behavior. And when it comes to sales, whether it be utilizing AI search or whether it be using AI agentics and agents who are bringing that in and putting it into the sales pipeline, if the salesperson doesn't know how to converse with the agents, put that together, and then converse with the customer on the basis of the process you've created, what did you accomplish? Nothing.
I think that this analogy may help to rethink the way we need to move forward. In order to achieve improvement on a productivity level with technology, where you need to view AI as a partner, and specifically as a dance partner that is in step with you. And the CEO's role is to decide what music to dance to.
Very well put.
Yep.
Very well put.
And one thing to add, one of the elements here is that because when we talk about sales transformation, we're talking about sales professionals. But then clearly there's another element out of the whole sales is really the client, right? The client behavior is also changing. Like oftentimes in the old times, there might be email marketing could be very efficient, right? You're as a sales professional, you're attacking, you're going to your client through emails, etc. But then think about where are your clients, or what changes in this era where your client is doing something differently. How does your client is looking for you could be different. Original, they're going to conferences. They're looking for referrals. They're like opening their emails. They're like, all these methodologies still works very well, but at the same time, some of your clients might be looking for solutions on ChatGPT, on AI searches. And that's where I think one of the key questions is really, are you covered, or are you is your brand in the answer of these AI searches? That's also very important, because with the rise of the AI, we were just right before the event, we were just talking about agentic commerce, where with large language model, not only it can give you solutions, it can also remembers what's your behavior are, and then give you recommendations per your personality and your personal characters and what you're exactly looking for. So they might even provide some of the solutions, as easy as if you want to go to Hawaii, it can put together a itinerary with a couple options for you to choose. But at the same time, for 2B business, it's the same. Your client might be looking for solutions. All these like difficult parameters of your product, AI might be translating that, and also helping your users to understand what all these like tricky like parameters your product is bringing. And if you're in that answer and you're being answered and also recommended by AI, you might be ahead of the curve already. So I think that's also very key elements, where with your users' change of behavior using AI, you want to be there too. And then there's this like marketing to AI, because if agent is the one, or the machine is the one deciding if they are recommending you or not, and how do they recommending you, then you need to come up with solutions to really marketing to AI, meaning that you need to influence AI to understand you correctly, and also trust you correctly, and then ultimately recommending you. So that's where I think Deeplumen is bringing something onto the table, is that with a lot of like B2B SaaS and D2C brands, you're building your website to human, but is agent able to understand it as well as human beings? Maybe not. With all these images, all these beautiful videos you're putting on your website, AI is not reading it yet, because it's taking too much token on their end. So all these beautiful marketing campaign videos we are putting together. I'm sorry, AI is not getting it. So, and how to translate all this information of your entire website into an AI readable format so that the crawler will understand you better, and then automatically letting AI to recommend you. It's also important, and that's where Deeplumen is coming onto the table. Where our first product is called Agentic Page, and what does it do is that we think the websites are reviving because the agent is making decision, and your official website is the first spot they're coming, but they're not able to read it 100%, and that's where we're doing the machine translation for your brand at zero cost, so that your fundamental marketing assets will be translated so AI can understand. And that's where I think it's a very, like, from our belief is that it's a foundation. It's almost like a new website, or it's almost like the website portal for the AI era. And that's where I think it's like, we think it's very important for any brands want to do business. Even under this AI era, they need to translate their website as a step one, and that's where we're coming to help. Yeah, just a little bit about what Deeplumen is doing, and also our, like, more importantly, not just about our product, but it's more about what's our belief at the back end of what the future should be and what could be relevant to sales professionals in the industry.
Joy, I remember doing a story on Google in the early days where the architect said, we want to have micro kitchens and not one mass cafeteria. And they were thinking about why would we do that? And they came up with a term. They wanted to engineer casual collisions between the employees, so they can informally introduce themselves and talk about ideas that expand the capacity of Google's ability to serve more customers. So what you are doing is, in a way, create those water cooler conversations, those casual collisions between ideas, where one party says, I'm looking for something, I need help. And then all of a sudden the help appears. And if you are part of that environment online, then you're going to advance your business.
That's why it's always like inspiring when we talk to Gerhard. You always inspire me in one way or the other. And that's like, when I think about it, it's really, once agent is coming out, right? It's almost like a salespeople, your little sales force on the internet. And you don't need to pay anything about it. You don't need to pay anything, but it's important to influence all these sales agents out there, meaning all these large language model, to recommend you in these casual conversations happens every second. And that's where I think it's important for like any organizations with products and with services need to first talk to these large language model sales agent properly, so that they will understand you, and so that you will be brought up in these casual conversations they're having with your end users or end customers.
And I'd like to take it a step further. The question that I often ask myself, what triggers a conversation? What gets people to go online? And what I feel is happening is that an internal conversation precedes the actual conversation. So I've been thinking this morning about this webinar. So I had a conversation with myself, and that was triggered by Thomas, who designed this webinar. And I think that in the future, we need to think about not where the conversations happen, but where the conversation originates. So we need to go a level deeper by triggering what people actually think about. And you think about what your brain gets stimulated by is daily news. And So daily news makes you a passive participant in a game that the press plays to get you engaged and buy their newspaper. But I think companies need to think about, how can I trigger thoughts in my consumers or customers so that we can have a conversation that is sparked by their curiosity. So I think the next agent, the AI agents that I want to see is, and you can create that, is the agent that sparks curiosity.
Starts conversations.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We're going to have to give that some thought, Joy.
Yes, totally. I need to ask my open cloud to think about it, my agent to think about it.
I think it's, well, let me ask a quick question here. Why do you think, or do you think, that some of the CEOs and leadership teams are now hesitating a bit in terms of their use of AI, and or concerned with the use of AI, or maybe just disappointed in the use of AI? Why do you think that's happened, and what's the solution to that? Gerhard, I'll start with you.
Well, one word answer is strategy. A company that does not use AI at the core of their strategy is not playing with a full deck.
Okay, that's one way to put it. I like it. So they're missing elements, and
absolutely, they've already missed the boat.
Yeah, and we've seen this play over a million times, you and I. Yeah. You know, when enterprise was buying ERPs or CRMs or whatever system they were going to buy, they expected the system would come in on Monday and everything be running perfectly by Tuesday, right? And of course, that didn't work either for the same reasons.
Right.
Joy, what's your take on that?
Because I was in this Gen AI wave like 2 years ago. Okay. So I think like a lot of because it's and also I moved back from New York to China to 2018. That's when machine learning, deep learning are happening, and that's where I was like, oh, I'm so excited. AI is so ready to commercialize. But then so essentially it's like 8 years ago where even though the venture capitalists thinks AI is ready to get into like the publics, and then but what's really happening is really like facial recognition is happening, and that Amazon Echo is happening a little bit, and that's about it. And there was like such a big like talk about, oh, the Amazon Echo is going to be a big thing. It's a native AI product. Users will be buying products through Amazon, like the voice recognition, and then through it, but it didn't happen. No. But and then that was the first wave, and then the next wave was like Gen AI, where like ChatGPT come out with this Sora product where it's like text to video, which unfortunately they actually closed down the project this week. It's like there was like a lot of generative AI product, and then I remember 2 years ago I went to Shop Talk, and it's all talk about like generative AI, but still it's not happening. I think organizations are paying quite a bit when the first AI bubble comes out, and they're spending quite a bit, and like it didn't come up. And I think so there will be some disappointment in the market it's going to be another bubble again. And also, but at the same time, it's a mix of fear of missing out. Like if you're not doing, if you're the chairman, if you're the CEO, if you're not making any strategic decision, right, you might be missing out. So I think it could be a mix of both, where that's where I think organization owners or leaderships really need to find, number one, is not making any strategic decision right away. It's more about of the investment. It's more about finding the right talk or the right webinar, the right master classes to go to better understand what's really the real AI implementations before they're making any decisions. And so the master class, Thomas, you're bringing up, it could be one of the best because you've been in the market for a long time, and also you're standing so close to the organization. You see like organizations in the past decades and like couple decades, so you understand what they need. At the same time, you know what's available in the AI market, so you're the best bridge among the among and also Gerhard too. So going to your master classes, going to the webinar, and your event, uh, like it's important because you guys are the right people to for the organization to understand what's happening and what might be the right decision and solutions out there and options out there. And then the next one is really choose the right tools or products or strategy for your organization and start with a very small POC. I was like always hire the right consultants, and then start with a small POC to better understand what's the bigger implementation plan should be for your organization. So I think that's where what's happening in the like a lot of like owners or leadership get hurt by AI already. So no doubt they're a little bit more protective in terms of how to make decision. But still, if they're not making decision, it's not it's leading to a bigger like disappointment probably a year later. So you need to make a decision, but at the same time, you need to make decisions smartly, carefully, and slowly.
100%. And thank you for that. And I give Gerhard all the credit for that because it was Gerhard's recommendation to create the masterclass and the bits that go with it. And what we've done is we've created a 3-hour workshop, which is a hands-on program for executives and these leaders to come in and actually put to use the skills they have, gain some new skills, and create their own customized blueprint and plan. So that by the time we're done, you're going to have a plan that you can now go to market with on the basis of how you want to use AEO, AI search, and create what we call an AI sales pipeline. Because at the end of the day, that's what's missing. So we've got AI and we've got customers and we've got your salespeople, but they're all running around each other and nobody's connecting. What we're going to do is give you a system and a blueprint where you connect all those dots, and now they're coming in automatically into your sales pipeline, and we're going to show you how to do that. And that's what's the missing part, is the implementation and the blueprint. Would you agree, Gerhard?
Yeah. How do people sign up for that?
Yeah, so April 16th, 1 p.m. Eastern, we will put, and we have done the links for that event here as well. You'll see some posts and some invites to that online on LinkedIn and various other places, but it's at velocitysalessolutions.com /AI-masterclass. And I'll put that out here for everybody as well. And Gerhard, we'll put out your event coming up as well for the April event. And I've got your link here, so I'm going to put that there so everybody is aware of that. And who are some of your sponsors, and what are some of the key elements that you're going to be speaking about at that event, Gerhard?
Well, I'm happy to say that, first of all, we're going to have 600 director level sales leaders attending from 50 different countries. And sponsors include like Karoo or Corporate Vision and Fuel. And, Corporate Visions has done now 3 events and a masterclass. And they were so thrilled with the outcome that they booked our next 3 events. So I want to zoom back. I'm fascinated by words like artificial intelligence, and the I in intelligence reminds me that intelligence is sort of a universe that we have a hard time understanding. We know when somebody sounds intelligent, and we wonder what drives those people. And what I like to think is that the world is not driven by people. The world is actually driven by ideas. And somebody once said, and it fascinated me, that people are outlived by institutions. and institutions are outlived by ideas. For example, the idea of Christianity or Buddhism or Islam. I mean, those ideas are still ruling after thousands and thousands of years, and we as a society, when we look at AI, I think we need to look at idea governance. What ideas do we need to govern our decisions, our lives, the way we communicate with one another, the way we do business with one another, the way we relate to one another? So I see that there's a lot of promise with AI, and especially your solution, Joy, where you create communities that stimulate conversations, that surface ideas that people need to improve their lives. And in that sense, Joy, I think you're a pioneer because you're contributing to a better society.
Thank you so much, Gerhard. It's a very kind word you mentioned. We're trying. Let's see how well we can do and help the society and also certain communities as well.
Thomas?
Yes.
Can you put a bow on that?
Well, listen, I want to thank you, Gerhard, for taking the time and joining us today and giving us your industry and your experience and your insights. You have seen it all. You continue to see it all. And having that input and access to that kind of experience is something that you can't buy, right? And understanding how to bring that to play. You've seen all the different solutions, all the different technologies come and go. You've seen how this works. You've seen how leaders have progressed. You've seen all the various things that we're talking about time and time again. This, I would argue, because you and I have both seen many of these things, is probably the biggest change I've seen. And I think the most dramatic that I've seen, but it also offers by far the biggest opportunity for organizations and sales professionals to benefit by. There has never been a better time to become a rock star and to become the top person or persons and organization or brand in your industry by leveraging a tool that everyone is still trying to figure out. And that's the opportunity. And by attending events like this and Gerhard's upcoming event and the masterclass and listening to experts in the industry, but at the end of the day, taking the time on a daily basis to practice what you've learned and to put it into play, that's where the rubber hits the road. So I want to thank you, Gerhard, for taking the time. And Joy, once again, it's always such a great pleasure to work with you and Deeplumen.
It is a joy.
Appreciate it, Gerhard. And always inspiring to talk to you. And I get really excited whenever I got like I'm able to go to a webinar, join with you. So looking forward, like we're finalizing our product. So hopefully we can bring it to your community, your audience, and to your event sooner or later. And finger crossed. Yes.
Thank you so much. Great to see you. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you, Gerhard. Thank you, Joy. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gerhard. Bye.
Thank you.